Every single day, thousands of regular travelers are pulled aside for extra screening at the TSA checkpoint. They aren't criminals. They're not trying to break the rules. Most of them don't even realize they did anything wrong. But somehow, they end up waiting in a separate line, feeling embarrassed and confused. The truth is, there are silent red flags, things you would never guess, that can get you stopped by TSA. In this video, we're going to break down the biggest ones, so you never have to experience that awkward moment at the airport again. Let's start with what you probably already know. You put your liquids in a clear bag, you take your laptop out, you take off your shoes and belt. You think you're following every rule exactly. But here's the catch. TSA rules are sometimes more complicated than they seem. For example, did you know that the 3-ounce rule for liquids isn't just about the size of the bottle? It's also about the type of container and what's inside. Take toothpaste, for instance. Many people believe that if the tube is almost empty, it's not a problem. But TSA agents look at the tube as a whole. If it's a gel or paste, even a mostly empty tube can look like something dangerous on the X-ray. The same goes for deodorant. You might think a solid stick is fine, but many deodorants have a gel core. That gel can show up as a suspicious blob on the scanner. Also, you might forget about small items tucked away in side pockets or buried at the bottom of your bag. A half-used bottle of lotion, an old travel-sized shampoo, or even a forgotten can of soda can all add up. These little oversights create a chain reaction. TSA sees something that doesn't match the rules, and your bag is set aside for a closer look. It's not about being a troublemaker. It's about small mistakes that seem harmless until you're waiting in line. But what if you follow every rule to the letter? What else could go wrong? Here's something most travelers never think about. How you act can be just as important as what's in your bag. TSA agents are trained to look for more than just objects. They're trained to spot behavior that doesn't fit the situation. Let's imagine you're at the security line. You're supposed to look relaxed, but maybe you're a little nervous. That's normal, but if you start sweating, fidgeting with your bag, or avoiding eye contact, that can be a red flag. Agents are trained to notice these signs because, unfortunately, nervous or evasive behavior can sometimes be linked to people trying to hide something. Another common mistake is talking about things you shouldn't. For example, some travelers ask the agent, "Do you check for explosives?" or joke about having something dangerous. Even if you're just being funny, it sounds suspicious to someone whose job it is to spot real threats. Similarly, if you seem confused about basic rules or keep changing your story about where you got an item, that can make the agent suspicious. Let's say you bought a souvenir at the airport, but you can't remember the name of the shop, or you say you're visiting a friend, but your bag is full of brand new electronics. These small inconsistencies can add up quickly. TSA agents have to treat every traveler the same until they can prove otherwise. So even simple misunderstandings or nervous habits can lead to a secondary inspection. The lesson here is simple. Stay calm, be honest, and make eye contact. But what if you're calm and honest and you still get stopped? There are more hidden red flags waiting to trip you up. Now let's talk about the things you carry every day. You might think these items are completely harmless, but to the TSA's X-ray machine, they can look exactly like things they're trained to watch for. Let's start with snow globes. They're cute souvenirs, but the liquid inside creates a fuzzy, dense image on the scanner. TSA agents see that and can't tell if it's just water and glitter or something dangerous, so they almost always pull snow globes aside for a manual check. Food items are another big culprit. A jar of homemade jam, a block of cheese, or a container of peanut butter might seem innocent to you, but to the X-ray, they look just like substances that are banned from carry-on luggage. The same goes for thick lotions or creams. Even if it's just moisturizer, the dense texture can set off alarms. Electronics are tricky too. If you have a bunch of cables tangled together, or if your charger is wrapped up in a way that looks like a bundle of wires, it might look like an improvised explosive device. That's not what it is, but the agent has to check just to be sure. Don't forget about pill bottles or vitamin containers. If they're not labeled clearly, or if there are loose pills inside, that can look suspicious. Even medical devices like inhalers or hearing aids need to be presented properly. Otherwise, they might get set aside for a secondary search. What's important to understand is that the X-ray machine isn't smart like a human. It can't always tell the difference between a block of cheese and something dangerous. That's why so many innocent items get flagged. It's not about suspicion, it's about procedure and safety. But there's another layer to this. Sometimes it's not what you bring, but how you pack it that makes all the difference. How you organize your bag can be the difference between a quick walkthrough and a long wait. Even if you have only allowed items, a messy or overstuffed bag creates problems for TSA agents. Imagine an agent trying to sort through a bag that's bursting at the seams, with clothes balled up on top of electronics and toiletries scattered everywhere. It takes longer to find what they're looking for, and if something looks odd, it's even harder to spot. This often leads to a more thorough search just because the agent can't see clearly. On the other hand, a neatly organized bag, where liquids are in one pocket, electronics in another, and clothes folded neatly, makes the agent's job much easier. They can see everything at a glance and move you through the checkpoint faster. But packing isn't just about neatness, it's about making sure nothing gets crushed or squeezed into a shape that looks suspicious. For example, if you pack a roll of coins or a thick book against a bottle of lotion, the pressure might make the lotion look like a solid mass. That's another red flag waiting to happen. If you travel with kids or grandchildren, make sure their small toys and snacks are in a separate compartment. Loose items rattle around and can trigger alarms or be mistaken for dangerous objects. So, packing the right way isn't just about following the rules, it's about making it easy for the agents to see that you are, in fact, following the rules. But there's another layer to this. Sometimes it's not what you bring, but how you pack it that makes all the difference. You've done everything right. You followed the liquid rules, you acted calm and polite, you packed your bag neatly. But there's one last thing you can't control: the random swab test. TSA agents sometimes use special swabs to test your hands, bag handles, or even your phone for traces of explosives. This test is completely random and can happen to anyone, no matter how innocent your bag looks. If you've recently handled fertilizer, certain foods, or even some cleaning products, a trace could show up on the swab. The test is quick, but if it comes back positive for something suspicious, even by accident, you'll be taken to a separate room for a more detailed screening. This can mean missing your flight or waiting for hours. It's not about being guilty, it's about the machine picking up something that looks like it could be a problem. The best way to prepare for this is to know that it can happen to anyone, and not to panic if you're selected. Just cooperate and answer the agent's questions honestly. But here's the final thing to remember. Airport security is about safety, not suspicion. Most travelers never realize they've done anything wrong. The more you understand these hidden red flags, the more likely you are to have a smooth trip. But the question remains, are you prepared for the one thing you can't predict at the checkpoint?